Welcome back to the WeCyberYou Unlocked podcast. We are diving back into the deep end today, and honestly, this one feels less like a technical breakdown and more like a psychological thriller.
That's a fair assessment. It really changes how we think about safety.
Right. It's like you can have the highest walls, the best guards, but none of it matters if the threat is already inside holding a guest pass.
And we're talking, of course, about third-party breaches.
Exactly. I want to jump right into this because the source material is, well, it's pretty alarming. We're not talking about some hacker in a hoodie guessing your password.
No. This is a structural failure in how modern business works.
The analogy you hear all the time is, you lock your doors, you arm the alarm, but the burglar just walks in using the keys you gave the maintenance crew.
That's the classic one, but let's sharpen it a bit for the digital age. It's not just the maintenance crew anymore. It's the cloud provider hosting your data, the SaaS tool for your payroll, the marketing agency. It's everyone. We're moving away from this idea of a fortress and more toward an ecosystem. And ecosystems, well, they're messy.
And that's the mission for this deep dive, right? To unpack how cybercriminals have pivoted their tactics.
They've realized that attacking a hardened target head-on, like a bank or a government agency, is just a massive headache.
It's expensive, it's risky.
The ROI just isn't there. So they found a loophole. It's the path of least resistance. Why spend 6 months trying to crack military-grade encryption when you can spend a week phishing a small, under-resourced vendor?
The one that, say, prints the bank's statement.
Exactly. If that vendor has a digital pipe connected to the bank, you're in. You just bypass the fortress walls entirely.
So let's get a clear definition so we're all on the same page. A third-party breach isn't just a vendor losing a laptop, is it?
No, it's much more systemic than that. A third-party breach happens when unauthorized access is gained to your organization, the main target, by compromising an external company that already has legitimate access.
It's like an inheritance problem.
That's a great way to put it. You inherit the security posture or, the lack of one of every single partner you connect with.
Inherited risk. That is a terrifying phrase.
Uh-huh.
But, okay, play devil's advocate for a second. Big companies have vendor risk management teams, right? They have lawyers, contracts. Why is this still such a soft spot?
It's the sheer scale of it all. I mean, the source material lists the types of partners involved, and it's just massive. You have your IT support and managed services.
Who basically have the keys to the kingdom by definition?
Of course. Then you have cloud platforms and SaaS tools.
Which is everything now. I don't know a single business that runs entirely on its own servers anymore.
You're right. Then you add payment processors, payroll providers, marketing platforms, HR systems, customer support tools. The average company isn't an island. It's a hub connected to hundreds of spokes.
So if a hacker compromises just one of those spokes,
They can pivot right to the hub.
it's a numbers game then. You have to be perfect 100% of the time. The attacker only has to find one vendor who forgot to patch a server.
Spot on. And the really scary part is that the victim, the main company, often has zero visibility into that vendor's security. They're just trusting a green check mark on some form from 6 months ago.
Let's get a bit technical. How does that pivot actually happen? I mean, if I hack a payroll company, I don't just magically have a login for their client's email server. What's the digital connection?
The sources highlight a few key vectors. The most common one is credential reuse, but it's a little more nuanced than just bad passwords.
So it's not just about people using password 123 for everything.
That's part of it, for sure. But the bigger issue is usually access tokens and service accounts. When you hire a vendor, you often create a special account or an API key for them.
Right, so they can do their job.
If the attackers break into the vendor's network, they just steal those credentials. Now, they aren't hacking your company, they're just logging in.
And to your security system, it just looks like normal, legitimate traffic.
Correct. It looks like the payroll company doing payroll things.
Yeah.
But the second vector is, I would argue, even more dangerous. APIs and integrations.
APIs, the glue of the modern internet. They let software talk to other software. Where's the weakness there?
The weakness is in trust. An API is a bridge. And if that bridge is insecure or maybe overprivileged, it's a highway for attackers.
What do you mean by overprivileged?
Let's say you have a marketing tool connected to your customer database via an API. Ideally, that tool should only be able to read names and emails. But often, out of laziness or just bad configuration, that API gets admin or write access.
So if the marketing tool gets hacked,
The attacker uses that API connection to issue commands to your database. They can pull data, delete records, even inject ransomware, all through a channel you explicitly allowed.
That's wild. It's like giving the gardener a key to the shed, but the key also happens to open the safe in your bedroom.
That is a perfect analogy for it. And we haven't even gotten to the compromised software update vector, which is truly the stuff of nightmares.
The report made a huge deal of this one. It feels so counterintuitive because we're always telling people, update your systems. Patching is critical.
And it is critical. But here's the catch. The really sophisticated attackers are now going after the software vendors before the update is even released. They inject malicious code into the software build pipeline.
So the vendor then signs the update, says it's safe, and pushes it out to all their customers.
Thousands of customers, yeah. So the customer downloads the update thinking they're being secure, but they're actually installing a backdoor into their own system.
A Trojan horse delivered by a trusted friend.
That's what makes it so hard to detect.
Mm-hmm.
The traffic is legit, the digital signature is valid, the source is trusted. It's a perfect crime.
The list of attack methods in the source material is just a laundry list of anxiety. Phishing the vendors, lack of patching on their end. It really does show you're only as strong as your weakest partner.
And that's why these breaches are just uniquely dangerous. The text calls out three main factors: bypassing the perimeter, stealth, and complexity.
The stealth part is what gets me. If someone kicks down your digital front door, alarms go off. But this is...
It's a silent invasion. Because the activity uses trusted credentials or trusted channels, it just blends in with the noise of daily business. The dwell time, the time an attacker is inside the network before they're found, is way higher in these breaches.
They could be in there for months.
Months. Mapping out the network, finding the crown jewels, and just waiting.
And when the breach is finally discovered, the fallout is just messy.
Messy is putting it lightly. The complexity of figuring out who's liable is a legal nightmare. Is it the company that lost the data? The vendor who got hacked? The lawyers fight for years, but the damage is already done.
And the damage isn't isolated. The report talks about this idea of a mass event. This isn't one car crash, it's a 10-car pileup.
That's the force multiplier effect. If you have one company, you get one victim. If you hack a widely used software provider, say a company that makes file transfer software for thousands of businesses,
you essentially have a skeleton key for all of them at once.
You do. We've seen cases where a single vendor breach caused a cascade of data leaks across global banks, universities, government agencies, all at the same time.
It's industrial-scale cybercrime, and the consequences are heavy. Mass data exposure, huge financial losses, regulatory fines.
And don't forget reputational damage. The industries most at risk, healthcare, finance, education, government, they all trade on trust. If I trust a hospital with my medical records and they end up online because their transcription service got hacked, I'm not blaming the transcription service.
You're blaming the hospital.
Of course.
That brings us to the personal impact. Because I think a listener might hear supply chain and think, okay, that's a corporate IT problem, but it's not, is it?
Not at all. The listener is the collateral damage. This is the truly unfair reality of it. You, as an individual, can have perfect security. You use a password manager, you have MFA on everything, you never click phishing links.
You do everything right.
But your data lives in all these corporate databases. And those databases are connected to vendors you've never even heard of.
So my data is effectively backpacking across the internet without my knowledge.
In a way, yes. The concept is transitive trust. You trust company A. Company A trusts vendor B. Vendor B trusts subcontractor C. So you are implicitly trusting subcontractor C, even though you have no idea they exist.
And when subcontractor C gets breached,
it's your identity that gets stolen. You're the one who has to deal with the phishing attempts, the financial fraud, the credit monitoring headaches.
It makes you feel like privacy is, I don't know, almost a myth now. But we can't just give up. The report does pivot to solutions. How do organizations fight back against a threat that's basically invisible?
It requires a huge shift in philosophy. The old model was trust but verify. The new model that the sources really push is closer to verify and then never stop verifying.
The text mentions assessments as a first step, but didn't we just say compliance forms are kind of useless?
Static point-in-time assessments are yes. The shift is toward dynamic assessments. You can't just check a vendor security once a year. You need to do deep due diligence before signing a contract, but you also need to implement continuous monitoring.
You mean watching the vendor in real time?
Exactly. Monitoring their activity logs. If that marketing API we talked about suddenly starts trying to access payroll data, that's a red flag. Security systems need to be tuned to catch that kind of scope creep instantly.
That sounds like least privilege. That seems like common sense, but the report says it's a major failing point.
It's the single most effective defense we have. Least privilege means giving a vendor the absolute minimum access they need to do their job and nothing more. If they need to fix the printer, they don't need network admin rights.
But it's easier to just give them broad access.
Convenience is the enemy of security. Always. We have to
That.
normalize a little bit of friction, and we absolutely have to require strong authentication. The source is very clear about MFA multi-factor authentication.
But can't attackers get around MFA with things like token theft?
They can, but MFA still creates a massive hurdle for the average attacker. It just raises the cost of the attack so much. If every third-party access point requires a hardware key or a biometric check, you eliminate all the low-hanging fruit.
The report also mentioned housekeeping, which sounds a little boring.
It's huge, though. Organizations love to spin up new tools and integrations. Let's try this new AI scheduling bot. They connect it, use it for a month, and then forget about it. But they never disconnect the integration.
So it's a dormant door just waiting.
Exactly. A hacker finds that forgotten connection 5 years later, and they walk right in. Audit your connections. If you aren't using it, kill it.
Cut the cord, and finally put it in the contract.
Yes. Include specific cybersecurity requirements and legal contracts. Don't just hope the vendor is secure. Make them legally liable if they aren't. Demand the right to audit them. Make it expensive for them to be insecure.
That's really the only language the market understands.
It is.
Stepping back, this all points to a massive cultural shift. We're moving from a world of independent companies to this world of deep interdependence.
That's the main takeaway here. The fortress idea is dead because the drawbridge is permanently down to let deliveries in. We live in a digital ecosystem.
And the sources wrap up with this concept of shared responsibility.
It's the realization that supply chain security isn't just an IT problem. It's a structural reality of the modern world. You can't outsource your risk. You could outsource the work, but the risk, it remains yours. The question is no longer, is my house secure?
Is the delivery driver's van secure?
Or even deeper than that, it's, do I know who is packing the boxes in the warehouse that feeds the delivery van?
That is the thought I want to leave our listeners with today. We focus so much on our own security, our passwords, our firewalls. But in this hyper-connected world, your security is defined by the weakest link in a chain you can't even see.
It's a sobering thought. Trust is the currency of the internet, but it's also its greatest vulnerability.
We're going to be tracking this topic closely. If you want to stay ahead of these threats, make sure you follow the channel. And please visit WeCyberYou.com for more educational cybersecurity content just like this. There are some incredible resources there.
Definitely check it out. The deep dives on there are fantastic.
Thanks for diving in with us today. It's a complex world out there, but understanding the machinery is the first step. Stay curious, stay skeptical, and stay safe.
Goodbye, everyone.